announced collaboration with, but unfortunately, just due to some constraints, they can't join us. We're going to try and have that involvement and interaction happen within the next week, or at the latest, probably next Wednesday during next Wednesday's AMA. However, we've a lot to discuss. As most of you have seen, we had the project update, the project diary update, was launched by, was posted by Herman earlier today. Quite interesting stuff in there. We have Herman here at the moment. He's going to give us the core strategic and development update and oversight, and then I'll give you guys an idea as to what's happening otherwise on the business side. So without further ado, I'll introduce Herman.
Thank you, Owen. So as mentioned last time, we're currently collaborating with partners, investors, some of the more experienced among the community, you guys, to mature a new strategy, or perfect the present strategy rather, in view of, one, the state of the project, which is what it is without any further requirement of me describing what it is. We can place the state of the project within a broader market slump. But overall, I think while the broader industry is declining, Cherry specifically has a lot of potential. And beside its potential that is intrinsic to the project, the product that we're trying to build, the goals that we set out for ourselves, we are led. Our stewardship is I'd say competitive at least within the markets, within the broader industry, where others would spend money for a little return at the moment just to simulate activity, throwing money for bounties and community rewards, again, to simulate, to pretend like there is interest in their project. We are either saving money or focusing on building products that will last the test of time, and that do build value for the project, that can then be priced once volume picks up, once the broader industry, and I'm sure it will either resurge or we see it fit to promote these products that have been built, and bring them to market, whether or not the broader industry recoups or not. So that's the topic of conversation with our partners. I would have liked to comment on that this AMA. I'll rather defer that to the next one. The reason being is that we're preparing a blog post, myself and some others of the team, that summarizes these thoughts as well as some inputs we've received from our partners, maybe our rebuttals, or in some cases we agree, and therefore changes and analyses of changes in strategy, and perhaps the preference of some tactics over others. Whereas now, again, we've built more, or we focus more on value. We've pivoted away from investing in ecosystem, sadly for most, of course, to building valuable products that can then be used and leveraged at some later stage to acquire more ecosystem projects for less cost. Perhaps it may be time to change that tactic. Maybe focus more on preaching the Cherry vision, preaching the Cherry story, and telling people, other people, not just the community, about the fantastic work the team has put in, whether or not the product is, at its final stage. So we'll defer all that conversation to once this blog is published. I fully expect it to be published by the end of the week. And I look forward to promoting that. I'll try to, we can organize something that the broader community can submit questions in advance. I know the AMA format has changed. Maybe we can reintroduce the former AMA format for this once, so that we can receive questions and maybe go a bit longer in detail in describing these choices we've made, as well as answering questions as to why and how exactly we plan on implementing them. So all that in an upcoming blog and further discussion next AMA. As far as news, the EVM parachain has been functioning for the past few weeks on testnet. We have encountered a couple of problems, namely a aesthetic one that resulted in MetaMask showing transactions to be dropped. That has since been resolved. And now a more significant problem that we've been trying to resolve for the past week or so, to do with block mapping. I won't exactly go into detail to describe what that means. Just know that that is a issue that we would prefer to be solved before opening up the testnet to a broader non-technical user. So we're holding up the bug bounty, as well as the various tools that that general users would be using to conduct this bug bounty and explore the parachain, namely the EVM parachain indexer and EVM parachain explorer, that are for all intents and purposes one and the same. I don't have an exact timeline on that. We were hopeful to get it done by today. Sadly, we weren't able to. We were working hard. I think, again, the timeline is days. But once this final bug is hammered down, within days, again, we'll be releasing the tools you guys will be using to explore and leverage the EVM compatibility parachain, namely Indexer Explorer, as well as a converter tool that allows you to convert substrate addresses to Ethereum addresses. Once the bug bounty is on, you can see all that, touch it, truly experience the work that we've put in over the past several months, as well as giving you a glimpse into a future where Cherry natively supports Ethereum smart contracts, but further has deeper native compatibility with Ethereum, the Ethereum ecosystem, and therefore can support the slew of applications currently running on Ethereum natively on Cherry, on its compatibility parachain, and even more so, can offer the products unique to Cherry. Again, Cherry is a purpose-built network for data storage over to the largest ecosystem in the world, Ethereum. And by Ethereum, of course, I mean both Ethereum network as well as any other fork of Ethereum. So BNB network, the Binance one, Polygon, Phantom, Avalanche chain, and the list goes on. So overall, we're pretty optimistic. We are in these final stages, really, of what is the last piece of the puzzle of making the network sound as a final product. The next step, of course, is bring to market the storage module, which will be perfected over time. That's not ready yet, but it will be perfected over time. And so we are at this crossroads. We are at this pivotal moment where the cherry product is mostly done, and it will be mostly done once the Ethereum compatibility parachain is deployed on mainnet within a few weeks, hopefully. Once all the bug bounty is complete and any eventual bug that's found resolved. And therefore, a strategy that I was discussing earlier is worth is worth maturing, is worth deploying, is worth implementing. Whether to continue with this value conservative approach of just building new products and conserving momentum, conserving assets, conserving energy for when a broader resurgence is more expected, or trying to go against the current and market these valuable products, valuable regardless of what the market thinks of a specific industry, of the industry we're in spite of the state of the industry. So that's all. Pretty exciting times ahead. If you have any questions of what I just said, feel free to share them with us on the Telegram channel or Discord or wherever else you want to share your questions. We'll try to answer them in next week's AMA. And again, if you don't have any questions but you're left wondering about what exactly all this means, do look out for this blog post. We're putting a lot of work into it, not just writing it out, which of course is pretty painful, but thinking about all these things in a very measured and methodical way. Of course, we don't want to make impromptu actions or impromptu decisions just because it's people demand action from us. Rather, we want to be measured and weigh the benefits and costs for the long-term benefit of cherry. That's it. Thank you, guys. Have a good day.
Thank you very much, Herman. That was very positive and good to hear. As I've been saying to people in the community, the team have been quite busy in the background over the past couple of weeks and further back, especially in the recent past, because now with EVM launched on testnet, it opens up the kind of horizon in terms of what are the next strategic moves that we should make. As Herman said, we will have quite an interesting blog post for you guys very soon. We'll revert to the longer form AMA format for next week's AMA. We may even have partners involved for that as well. So very, very information dense and also quite interactive Wednesday next week. As Herman mentioned, there is some certain strategic decisions and calculations being made by the team in terms of resource allocation, etc., which he described quite well there, and that will be touched on in the blog. And aside from that, we can say that now is the time, to whatever degree, but certainly to a substantial degree, it's time for a refocusing of the energy of the team onto business questions, as well as the sterling work that continues to go on the development side. What that means is that, as you saw today, we released a project diary again. Strategy blog is upcoming. Herman said as well that it is on the team, or it's pretty appropriate for the team now to think about how to communicate the cherry vision to more people, not just to update you guys in the community, which is one of our first priorities, but we need to kind of voice our vision to a larger audience. So that will be ongoing. The marketing in terms of when it starts and what's going on, I would say that in terms of kind of something for you guys to see, we'll probably on Friday when I have our office hour, and I can go into detail about some of the conceptual ways that we are trying to express the goal of the cherry that will take on some elements from the strategy blog Herman mentioned, because obviously we want to communicate things in a strategically appropriate way through our materials. Aside from that, we have a partner who wants to speak to the community as well. I'm hoping that might happen next week, or maybe if it's too busy next week, the week after. And aside from that, there's more fundamental things such as the website, which I'll be able to talk to you guys about as well on Friday. But as you saw, there's some output today. We're going to be giving you more to read on Friday, and then we can proceed from there to ramp up over the next few weeks to evangelize the Cherry Vision to a greater number of people, to bring them into the community, and to bring a kind of an increased energy, and of course also economic support for the project through those means. On to more practical matters. I'm actually just going to check my notes again, which I always end up in this situation. 1 second. Yeah. So other more practical matters are the web shop, the merch store. I just want to make sure everything is done and dusted on that. I think I'll probably get it out this evening, launch it this evening. As I said earlier, we have the office hour again will happen this week. It'll be less of an interactive one and more of something where I'll just share with you some of the things that we plan. And aside from that, we'll go into more detail as well next week about our business development and marketing, things like that. Some of which will be touched upon by Herman and the guys in strategy blog, which, as he said, should come out on sometime this week. We have, of course, the weekly quiz for you guys. Before that, just to reiterate what Herman said, any questions for us, you should drop into the chat. Next week will be a more broad and expansive AMA session, so we can kind of go into more detail about things then. Any questions that will be more relevant for me specifically, I will try and address on Friday during the office hour, which will happen in the afternoon UTC. And then aside from that, yes, so with regards to quiz and quiz winners, I have to go through, do some kind of mundane accounting and look at who have prizes yet, over the past couple of days. I think even the new winners from the last 3 weeks are still waiting for prizes, so I'll get to that very soon. Hopefully by the end of the week, I'll at least let you guys know what the story is with getting those prizes processed. So in the meantime, we have a new quiz coming. John has some pretty cool questions that he's going to pop into the chat now in a second in our weekly quiz. If you have any questions, otherwise you can always DM me if you don't want to post them in the group, and we will be in touch with you as always throughout the week with those materials, and also with the office hour that I mentioned. So that's everything from us. Next week's AMA will be a bit longer, but we'll leave it there for now. Anything else you want to know, just let me know in the meantime. John is here to give the quiz, so I'll wish you all well, and I'll speak to you in the next couple of days. Cheers, guys.